Hello traders, this is Alex with the Commodity Matrix update. Today is July 3rd, Friday, 2026. It's about 8:30 in the morning. There are no markets today because of the 4th of July holiday. So I thought I'd do an update. Been kind of busy updating some other stuff, but this is my standard intro. CBOT Man 33 is my X handle and pretty much email and everything else. So the old Chicago Board of Trade man. That tells you my age. But anyway, I did do a stock matrix update. I kind of did a video because, again, I did the stock matrix a year or so ago and put out 50 videos on how to trade with the options. It was pretty successful. So I've been kind of, things have been changing there a little bit. When since I spent a year doing it, I keep the charts up, and there's been a lot of changes going on in the stock market world. But anyway, to the commodity end, I'll put our video on here as well so you can reference back to it. Moving over to the commodity matrix program itself, again, it's just a spreadsheet that I've created. There's a lot of automation out there, and that's fine for some things, but I miss the days of hand charting on a piece of chart paper. I mean, you get the feel for the market. It's not quite the same here, but I still have to plot all this stuff. So I feel more connected to the market. Maybe get emotional on a swing more than it's just another swing, right? Because you got to put in a bunch of X's or O's, and you know the consequences, right? Every time you plot something, you're thinking, which AI does not think. I've been trying to teach Claude how to do my charts. Claude doesn't understand a swing. I mean, it's like, oh, a swing? What, dude? How can you be advertising on the internet that you're the greatest trader in the world? You don't even. Claude is stupid. So be careful on the AI stuff, AI platforms that talk about how great they are. Anyway, again, I'm an old guy. But I've had computers. I started trading the commodities with a dual floppy drive. Ensign software. We thought that was the cat's meow. Anyway, but this is the matrix sheet. We did have one change. Sugar did go long on the July 1st. So we'll review all these. And again, I'm going to split the video up into the corn through the juice and crude oil through Bitcoin. And I'll do a composite. This will be the composite. I'll split it off and kind of make 3 videos. For those of you that might not be interested in the softs or ag, you're more interested in the financials to, energies, that kind of thing, metals. That'll be on a separate video. So keep it a little more short for people who don't have the time. But I'll like I said, I'll have a comprehensive one as well with all these. All right, let's go ahead and get into it here. This is the corn chart, and as you can see, it's kind of been on the low end of the spectrum. It did kind of have this bear trap. Took out these lows right around the halfway point, right, of the Gann cycle, the 180 degrees opposition. So, and from the solar eclipse, right, this is the solar right here. Here's the lunar. The Gann zone was the high, or my 66 market days that I use. Gann used 90 degrees, or basically 91 calendar days, or in essence. Both are the same, off by a day or so sometimes. That's it. But anyway, this was the high, and now we're back on the low end of the ebb. My experience trading for 4 decades, I have a simple kind of rule. I always assume the grains, corn, beans, wheat, meal, oil, bean oil, that kind of thing, always make lows in July or highs in July. So I'm kind of amped up to, I actually started buying this low on kind of stock market stuff for now. But I use CORN, which is a 2 cream contract, and COYB, I believe, is the bean contract. And wheat, I believe, is WEAT. I just bought some of those of each, kind of making, because there's no index on the grains, right? So I kind of made my own index. But anyway, here to there, I'm kind of a little early. I'm guessing a little bit, but again, I'm using that theory. I like to buy in July if it's a low, and I'll be selling if it's a high. So anyway, I kind of like this area. I like buying this break. I don't know where it could really go. People are assuming it's going to be a big crop, and I'm sure it's going to be, but some bad weather is always around the corner. And again, it sucks that we have to depreciate our best commodity, our best product in the whole world, which is corn in this example, and beans and wheat too. We are the best. We have the best product. The only time the farmers get rewarded if there's an issue with their crop. Well, then they don't get to, they get a higher price sale, but they have less bushels, right? That isn't how it works. It shouldn't be that way. Cargill has way too much control over this market, in my opinion. But you can see we're down here, buy stops here, 1-to-1. So there's some stuff to get through. But I like bear traps. I like bull traps. That's kind of my nature. I'm a trader at heart. I find those areas of acceleration. This is probably not one of them, but we start breaking stuff, and you'll get this a big bar up here at some point. Now here's the beans. You can see we squared out this from low to high. This was actually a perfect square of Gann. I guess he called it time and price, right? Well, it hit it here, and then it fell. So again, the Gann square of this range, right? This is the Gann square, 1-to-1, using the quarter moons and square of 9. That's a perfect square. And then let me just see how many that is. Well, I guess I ran it back down. And so to that low, this will be the perfect square back to the backside. So you can see we're following that pretty good. Now the red line, if I forget to mention it, this is the solar eclipse, and this little red line goes out to the next solar, and we're kind of above it. We're kind of bullish, and below it we're a little bearish. The stop is pretty good right here. I mean, I'd probably have it 1 notch higher, but this is a systematic approach. So again, it trades on threes. So here was 3, it was long, and then that's why it got stopped out here, right? And now there's 3 here, not counting the current. By the way, this one goes off July 7th, which I believe is a Tuesday. So we're starting to get into the middle of the week. Back in here it was basically a weekly. Back in here was a weekly chart. Now it's getting in the middle of the week. So, which again, the reason why I like the quarter moons quite a bit, because it's not exactly a weekly chart. The structure is a little different. So you get a different look, right? That's kind of my whole thing. I don't like to do the standard weekly chart. I don't know why. I've always found more success, I guess, being just a smidge different. I don't care how you trade. Here's the wheat. Again, you can see we're sagging down. Again, if you followed me on these other videos I've done, I'm not a big fan until we get about halfway through harvest. I got to assume we're close to that. I haven't, since I'm out of the business now, I don't follow it that close. So again, I'm interested in this. Again, part of the reason why I bought the index that I made with 2 cream, part of that, I added actually a little more weight in the wheat because of that halfway through harvest. We sucked here in Kansas. I'm sorry. There's no way that we, if they say we did better, we didn't. We had drought, then flood, hail. I mean, we've had everything you could possibly imagine. The wheat's got to suck ass. So now again, but I still didn't buy that, right? My experience told me, oh, don't be a bull when everything, everybody knows it, right? Now you've broke back halfway through harvest, close enough. I think this is a great area to start. Now again, here's the solar. I wouldn't buy 100%, right? I mean, I think I like if it could break down to here. Hell, I could break a new low. It wouldn't really matter to me too much. It's not that big a pain. We did square this out and that range, and it did kind of hit this little peeny high. 45 degrees over was the next zone. Again, this is halfway from the low, and it's kind of a low. We took it out by a smidge. So this close Tuesday will be kind of important in theory. If we can close higher than this close, that'll get my juices pumping a little bit on the picking of the bottom type. Here's the meal. Now, just to clarify, the system won't be picking the bottom. That's why it's successful. Probably, that's why it works, right? That's why AI works. It doesn't pick anything. It doesn't guess. And I'm guessing a little bit, but that's my experience as a weighted part of the calculation, I guess. Here is the meal, just a dragger. I think it needs to really go down and clean out the clock. Now, we don't have to, though, right? In theory, this was the July highs, and I plotted them in here so you knew. We did not make a new high here, so we do not have to make a new low. That's even here. So it's ripe also. No, I didn't add meal. I don't think 2 cream has a meal in its deal, but that's, again, kind of par for the course. Here is the coffee. We had a power move, and we talked about this. We got long in here on the systematic approach again through using 3 of these quarter moon bars. Stop was here. We got out of our good short. Wow, we made a smidge. Didn't lose, but we bought it here, and then now we've had this impressive. I wrote the stats down. Let's see. I think it was 35%. I made $77.95 from low to high. I didn't make, but from low to high it was $77.95. That's $29,231.25 in 16 days. So that's coffee in a nutshell. Now, as you can see, and I can see it without even, I've done this so long. You can see that we've got 19 down boxes from that high to this low. 18, or no, excuse me. We got 8, 9 down boxes, 19 over. And this one is from here to here is 19 also. And this would be 8 right here and 9. So we've kind of hit it. Makes sense. Everything's kind of balanced, right? I would have a hard time buying this up here willy-nilly unless you're a fundamental person and you know something. I would buy a break if you're a bull. It might be a power up and you miss it. Maybe options would be the best solution for a guy like me if I had to buy it, right? And if you need to find a place to hedge coffee, this would be a good area. Again, it did pop out this area, so we do have a little bitty trap. Now, if that's the case and this high does hold, then I would assume we're going to make a trap some point down the road. If that is a high, again, I don't have any clue. Tuesday will be pretty key when this closes. So July 7th. And the actual time for the quarter moon is 1630 hours. So that'll be way after the close. So that'll be confirmed, right? It's no wishy-washy. Well, it came in at 2 in the morning. Do you count that or not? It's always tough to know what to count. Here's the cotton. Kind of, again, you can see this is our bull. Just kind of fell apart. I don't think the margins increased terribly much. So it wasn't a monster bull, but it was a nice trender. Cotton's been a dormant son of a buck. And some of these softs might come alive. I like this. I call this trend right here the warning shot over the bow. Now it hit our zone, our 66-day zone. Gann would have been out. I was out, following the rules that he set up. And I use as well, kind of different format. But anyway, you got to assume then that these eclipses that I like are lining up, right? We made a low on one, made a high on the halfway between, 45 degrees, right? 90 degrees worked, 180 will probably work. So I'm pretty pumped to see all these in action. And it's nice if you use a Gann wheel, those zones are locking in as well. And sometimes they get a little iffy as well, wishy-washy. You don't know what to, do you take it, you don't. When they kind of gel, it's kind of nice. Let's move on to the sugar. Here is the coagulation that we've got. Sugar has had, on how I trade it through the quarter moons, it's been a sloppy mess. I think we've lost every trade since the first of the year. We automatically got short here and it went long. Just how it was. The whole thing's been a mess. I think I keep track. Yeah, I haven't had any winners at all. All losses. So it's just a slopper. But again, my experience tells me be careful of the juice. If you're an option guy, these might be the ones to do some out of the money option plays. These sleeper markets. It just had a pretty good power up here. So you can see the rhythm, right? Rhythm trading. Here it's 7. That was 7. So again, I like the rhythm of it. My whole point is I'm kind of friendly sugar because it can't get going. It can't do anything. It's sloppy, right? We're in that the bull bear confrontation zone where you get a lot of trades that are losers, which happens, right? In those periods of rest, the turmoil begins. Again, you're reloading the spring, so to speak. The tension's getting greater. I expect a big profit zone coming out. And I might just break even from all the losses, right? But those are the kind of things I watch for. We've had several. It just can't go down, and eventually, it's whoever's been pressing this to the short side is going to give up. I think. So I'm kind of friendly sugar. I guess that's a long way to say that, but my experience tells me that this is pretty key zone in here. Okay, orange juice, just a chopper, but these are bigger moves than it appears. Again, this was the biggest bull in history, dwarfed the silver move, and then it fell apart, down to 80%, 75%. So we're recovering from that. I expect this to be a creeper. I mean, these are so big. I mean, you're talking $13 between boxes, right? Otherwise, it'd be off the chart. I don't know. I'm not bearish, really. I kind of like that it had the trap, clean stuff out on the roll in particular. Right now, we're in September. So the stop is a pretty good stop. I kind of don't mind that. We're squaring out of, now this is a 2x1 speed zone, and this was the 1x1. So this is a 1x2 over, right? And we're squaring out of that. So, and you can see here is the cardinal cross, really not a cardinal, but it's a cross of the 1x2s, and it's right in here, right? So it kind of makes sense. That's right where our stop is. So logically, we could get stopped out, and hopefully it doesn't. But again, I just got to assume eventually we're going to try to take out the January lows at some point. Kind of the wrong time of the year to get fired up on weather, unless hurricane season gets wild in Florida. You must stop! Okay, here's the corn on the bar chart data. Again, I'm kind of friendly down here. I like the July lows. This was the 66 market days from the solar eclipse, which was right in here. Gann would take 90 degrees, right? So let's say the 17th, 15th is right here. So a few days off, right? So both Gann and mine hit this high pretty good, and we had a trap here. So I kind of like all that setup. Um, the market did plunder all the way back down, took out the lows. Now this is the D's contract. Let's flip to a nearby or a spot. You can see the rollover effect, right? We had a huge carry, which again, you don't have to worry about the stock market, right? It's all built in. But you can see that the market is just trundling here. But from this low, and we have a little trap here, right? Man, that's a good low. I mean, that's 2025 low. Again, when you squish it down, we're still suffering from the $8 push, the all-time high back in 2022, which wasn't that long ago, by the way. 4 years. I know in the stock market, if you had a 4-year break in Microsoft, you'd be like, all these people that cost average down or stack their Microsoft, they'd be getting their ass crushed. You can't do that in the commodities. Can't trade that like silver either, right? Some people do, and that's why you're going to hear them complaining on the breaks. But I don't know, I got all this crap in here. Hang on. Okay, I paused that and cleaned this chart up. But you can see, broke the trend, broke the swing, bear market city, and the pause is typical, right? You can look back here, and from the bull of 2012, which was 850, it was big. We broke trend, broke swing, and then we stayed flat for, what is that, 7-8 years? Made a low in 2020. So this is the pivot, though. If you're a really big bull, this pivot right here, this $3 to $8, that's a pivot, and you're really bullish corn, all-time high move kind of thing, like silver just did. This will be your pivot to measure from. So again, logical breakback, makes sense. You had 503 days up, 503 days back down. No, you got, looks like 600. Yeah, so you can see that. Let me just run it off. Let me run the highs off this secondary event. As far as we can go, probably right there. I can't read the damn thing. What is that? 700, 702. So 702 from the high then. Again, I'm doing this live. Should have had this pre-thought out. I think that was 02 right there. So I like that. That was right on the pivot. Again, that's kind of stuff. Be in general, right? Don't be too specific. But we've balanced out this basically time and price. So we don't really have to go down and make another new low or anything. I think it's already satisfied that. Unless we're in a century move, right? Something unprecedented. I kind of like buying the dips here. Makes sense to me. Again, everybody's probably bearish because, we got big crops. There's nothing to do with it. If the boys want it to go up, the boys will make it go up. Okay, I cleaned up the chart there too, and you can see the future. This is the spot still, and just kind of a classic. I like the fact that it's upward channel. It's chopper, right? This is upward. This is kind of leaning down a little bit. Both end results were the same, but you can see the waves, right? It's just a kind of a, if this is leg 1, this is leg 2. You gotta be a little careful here. Long term, 10, 12 bucks, is that high or low? I don't know. It seems pretty high. Long term. But this is kind of the range that we've kind of assumed, right, since 2008 low. $8. We have never taken that out, by the way. I think that's the only market that hasn't, that 08 low. So the beans are a little more stronger than some, but again, it's a trading softly mode. Margins are pretty reasonable. So now the beans won't have a big move unless meal goes, and I don't have meal on here. Oh, I do too. I'll talk about that in a second then. Here is the wheat. You can see we're right onto the solar eclipses, which we've been talking about. Nice area of support. Again, I like the zone for halfway through harvest, mid-July. Perfect. Here is the meal. Again, in my experience, beans will not go up unless meal's leading the way. On a big move, right? It'll go up some, but not on the monster bullet you get. The meal has to lead the charge because, again, that's a math thing for the beans. It's more of the amount of the product. Bean oil is important, but not as much. So you get the typical pops and drops, but the meal for the beans is the key component. The meal margin's a little high, I think, but kind of, if I was bullish beans, I would be buying meal. Let's put it that way. I don't know any fundamentals, but if you just got to be long, I'd be long the meal, or buy meal calls, right, for maybe a year out. Spend the money there, and then don't worry about putting a stop in. Here is the cough. Again, here's that move. 16 days, 33%. Pretty power driven. Now you can see that this one will go from this secondary low to the fastest point was 29 degrees, or 29 days. Percentage, and that was 50%. So let's oh, dang it, freaking fingers, do fat. But let's change the color to dark blue, and then let's copy that one. You can see the speeds are equal. Of course, I can see that visually without even drawing this, but that is interesting, right? So you got to be a little careful. I mean, that's the history. If you're selling it up here willy-nilly, the system's along from right here, right? So now 60%. Let's bring it down to 50. And let me see what day we're on. July 21st. Ah, damn it. July 21st. Okay, now that's the exact percentage move. Well, I guess I'm 50%. So, but the time is still the same. So it changes the speed a little bit. But anyway, kind of interesting, right? Kind of good. So basically that mid-July, July 20th, 21st, 22nd is pretty key. Now, of course, it did go up higher eventually, but that was the trap area. So let's just draw that one in now. I don't know how many coffee traders are out there in the world. Man, I love trade. Coffee's one of those on my system. It was most profitable out of all of them. I don't know. It just gels with the Gann stuff, I think, or something. I don't know why, but it made money. It ain't the cheapest one in the world, which I think helps, right? You don't have any Johnny-come-lately with no cash trying to trade it. Yeah, you can see it. It hit the lows. So again, it kind of gels up too. It looks like it's setting up for a similar move. So now we had July 21st. This is August 27th. Keep those 2 dates on your calendar or on your phone alerts or however you get alerted. Pretty interesting. Okay, let's move on. Oh, about deleted it. Here's the cotton. Again, the biggest bull in history. We are kind of right on resistance. Let's get rid of these lines. They're from the D's chart. You can see, we talked about this before. We measured it out. If this is a high, and we have one, this is leg 2, this is leg 3, this is leg 4. We have one more leg to finish her off. The calculations were down in here. I won't go through them. You can look at the last video. But we got solar clip support. That makes sense where we could drip to. Now that's if we haven't fundamentally changed. If we have fundamentally changed something, which it kind of feels like we did, we shouldn't have to go back to this. This should be a small pullback, right? If it's bullish, this fundamentally bullish, and it's way undervalued, that kind of thing. Kind of like it was back here, right? It just crap, had a little break, crap. Just had a little bitty thing, and then it powered up, and then it was a massive move. So pretty interesting. Here's the sugar. Again, this is the one we just talked about. You can see we've been kind of cycling in 31-day motions. Nice little kind of a hesitational pot and maybe head and shoulder-y look. I don't know, just a chopper. But again, if this is a low, man, I like that. And this is our pivot up here. Oof, that measures a big move. Just be careful being short. Don't be hedging either. If you're a sugar producer, if you produce sugar, don't hedge with futures or contracts. Hedge with puts only. And the put I'm trading March of 2027. The options trade out there nicely. I mean, you can go out even further. So don't be hedging with any contracts through your wherever you sell it to, or through futures short contracts. I would do options only at these levels. Assume the risk of the whatever cost of those options, because I wouldn't want to be short at this low level. Orange juice, again, another just kind of there, right? We don't have to make a new low. There's no reason to trap it out. Again, 75% break, 234 days. That's what probably silver and gold's going to do, and crude oil probably like as well. That's just the tendency, 65 to 85, right? That's the rule. 75 is right in the middle, so I kind of like this low. Doesn't have to go lower, but could. But that sets up the new bull, right? We were killing trees, and the fundamentals were so bullish. But it takes time. I don't know if there's enough more time yet to confirm it. I think we're going to have to bing bang around, maybe drizzle out the low a few more times, and then maybe next year sometime we'll pick up the low.